20 past here in Moscow. The case of the former Russian spy, Alexander Litvinenko, back in their headlines now, almost a decade after he was poisoned in London. The nuclear murder sparked a chain of investigations and a diplomatic spat between Russia and the UK. And later today, Britain is due to announce the findings of its public inquiry. RT's Anastasia Churkina looks back at how the events unfolded in 2006 in London.
It took place here at Pine Bar, the chic Millennium Hotel in an affluent neighborhood in central London. It was here that Litvinenko took the lethal tea heavily spiked with polonium-210, a rare undetectable isotope, on November 1st, 2006. According to Britain, he was poisoned by former Russian agents Andrei Lugavoy and Dmitry Kovtun, who were meeting with him on the day. They both insist they're innocent. Russia refuses to extradite them, citing the Russian constitution banning the extradition of its citizens. According to Litvinenko's own account, a couple of sips of green unsweetened tea was all it took. Alexander Litvinenko, a former FSB agent, fled Russia in 2000 and got on the MI6 payroll in the UK on a reported salary of £2,000 a month. Here in London, he launched his career as a staunch anti-Moscow critic under the patronage of exiled Russian oligarch Boris Berezovsky. On the 6th anniversary of his arrival to the UK, Litvinenko was lethally poisoned. On the day of his poisoning, Litvinenko had lunch here at a chain sushi restaurant in Piccadilly with Italian officer and nuclear expert Mario Scaramella. The man he had lunch with was initially considered one of the suspects, with the media speculating he may be the assassin. Scaramella is now believed to be back in Italy, having stayed out of the media spotlight since the Litvinenko scandal. His condition quickly deteriorating, Alexander Litvinenko was admitted to hospital under the alias Edwin Redwald Carter and treated in an intensive care unit here. The cause of his illness remained a mystery for weeks. It was here that the last photo of him, soon to be familiar across the world, was taken. Suffering 3 cardiac arrests, Litvinenko died on the evening of November 23rd, 2006. Anastasia Churkina, RT, London.
Initially, the UK was conducting an open inquest into Litvinenko's death, but it hit a wall when the British government said some of the documents it held were classified and couldn't be used. The coroner then said the only solution was a public inquiry allowing for the secret information to be taken into account but not disclosed. That public inquiry began last January. We spoke to William Dunkerley, the author of The Phony Litvinenko Murder. He believes parts of the case are clearly being kept in the dark.
There's a complication in the investigation that the public inquiry was able to hold hearings behind closed doors. Most of the media reports gave the impression that the public inquiry is going to give added transparency to the case, but actually the opposite was true. Everything that I've seen is not what I would call evidence. The things that I've seen have been allegations that have been made by people that were based on someone else's allegations, and perhaps even someone else's allegations on top of that.
Scottish MPs are calling for an immediate halt to convoys transporting nuclear warheads through Scotland to a major naval base. They say the move poses a huge threat to security. And we spoke to the MP who's taken the matter to Parliament.
These vehicles are travelling all the way from Berkshire to Coolport in Scotland. It's a 18-19 hour journey that they're taking, so this is a significant distance. These vehicles are out there and are a risk to public, I would suggest. This isn't just an issue for Scotland. Sadly, the regulations around the movement of nuclear materials are still a reserved matter, so our responsibility of the Westminster Government to try and start a process that hopefully can take these absurd weapons off our roads.
Now, this recent video filmed in Scotland is said to show the trucks carrying the nuclear warheads on their way to the military base. We spoke to anti-nuclear activist Les Robson, who witnessed one of the convoys. He says they're a danger to public safety.
What I witnessed was 4 warhead carriers with an entourage of other support vehicles travelling along within 500 metres of a busy supermarket and crowded housing schemes. The MOD admit that there is a possibility of a conventional explosion that would release plutonium out into the atmosphere, and that people in houses within a 550-metre radius would be effective. The only way of ensuring that there isn't an accident is to stop the transportation of these weapons by road.
In the latest statement, Britain's Ministry of Defence said safety is the main priority during such nuclear transports. However, nuclear engineer John Large believes the risks are actually being underestimated.
The real problem is that these are running on very busy roads, and of course the convoy itself may be safe, but it can't really take account of the behaviour of other drivers. And there's a risk of dispersion of the uranium and particularly plutonium. The second risk, the vulnerability of these convoys to terrorist attack. They are, after all, on public roads, running on public time, with only a small contingent of Marine commandos, about 20 or so individual armed guards, run with these. There is no alternative. The weapons are housed in Scotland, they're refurbished in England, they have to travel up. If they went by aircraft, perhaps the risk of crash, particularly by helicopter, is greater than on the roads.
All right, in brief for you now, 6 officers killed and 10 people injured in an armed ambush in the Egyptian city of El Arish. Several of the assailants believed to be among those injured. An ISIL-affiliated group claiming responsibility. More than 1,000 farmers in eastern Greece drove their tractors in a 30-kilometre-long protest convoy against the government's austerity. They're demanding taxes be lowered and social benefits improved. The farmers have threatened to block a key highway that connects Greece with Macedonia if they get no help. All right, that's the latest news for this hour, live here on RT International. Coming up next, Worlds Apart.